The trail is a metaphor for change. Although hiking, and specifically endurance hiking, is now a big part of my day-to-day, it's not just about exercise. It's about transformation. Each step is a movement towards clarity, purpose, and identity. But movement is one thing, sharing insights gained is another. As a U.S. Marine veteran, I created this space to help other veterans gain clarity, purpose, and identity. Let's walk this path together. This is Trail to Transformation.
Most people aren't broken, they're just dysregulated. Chronic stress, pain, anxiety, and burnout aren't mindset failures. They're nervous systems stuck in survival. I'm Leland Holegate, combat veteran and neuroscientist, and I created the Welcome Home method to help people rewire their nervous systems with breath. To go deeper, visit thewillfulwarrior.com.
To show everybody, of course, my name is Dr. Keith McNally. I had to bring Leland back, and here he is, because we weren't finished from the first conversation. So, Leland, of course, thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's good to be back. I feel like we scratched the surface, right?
and so just to kind of give everybody a foreshadow, I'm going to be heading out to the Appalachian Trail. My launch date is March 29th, 2026. And so while I'm gone, you and a few other of my friends have agreed to help me fill in as host while I'm out there, and me and Ashley, I should say, are hiking 2,200 miles from Georgia to Maine. And so one, I got to thank you. But that'll give us an opportunity, and especially give you an opportunity to kind of share what you just shared with me in our previous episode about breath work. And so I have been using breath work for almost 2 years now, but nothing like what you've just taught me. So, of course, I'm going to YouTube and I'm going to, other gurus who have wrote a book on how to do things, because I'm in a process of transformation myself. And I always say that because I don't think there's ever going to be a time when I'm not trying to be a better person. But before we get into all that, fill us in on where we were on that 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out, 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out in terms of my breath work. And we did it for about a minute. So revisit that real quick.
Yeah. So you can take 10 breaths in and out of your nose without any pauses, right? Inhale, straight to exhale, straight to inhale. And by doing that, it's something called cyclic hyperventilation. And when you hold on that 11th, you start to get the pressure, the nervous signals, everything that's happening, which we can dive into further as we do more episodes and talk about all these things. But you're literally upregulating your dose hormones, right? The most substantial neurotransmitters and neuromodulators: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which are your natural painkillers. And you can do that through the day. You're literally, with breath work, and especially the Welcome Home method, which is the breath modality I created, it is like activating your own internal pharmacy. You are your own pharmacist. You can do it through your breath. It's amazing.
So even though that sounds great, and I've been doing some of that myself, again, let's get into the practicality, because I like to easily, I can jump into a woo conversation and talk about all of the yogi and all that kind of stuff at an elementary level still. But so what's going on? What's going on with the body? So, because I get it. You breathe into the lungs, lungs send stuff to the brain feels really good. And again, I'm talking like a 5-year-old. But that's about how I can understand it. So, and the reason this is important to me at this juncture is because, quite literally, at the time of this conversation, in a month's time, I'm going to be needing to feel good because I'm going to put my body through a whole bunch of stress, and it's going to be real important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've actually, that's something you and I will talk about off camera. I've got a specific protocol for you while you're on the trail that's going to help you out quite a bit.
I appreciate it.
Um, yeah. So when we dive into just even the simple basics of neuroscience and epigenetics, which is all about the way that your DNA is actually read by your body, the breath is the control factor of all of that, like we talked about in this last one. So in your brain stem, we talked about how there's something called a pre-Botzinger complex. It's this big complex of nerves and nerve endings that runs everything as far as your survival goes, right? Your rhythmic breath, your blood pressure, all these different systems are right there, even including what we call your reticular activating system, which is what, oh, it's light out, it's time to be awake, it's dark out, it's time to go to sleep. All of those systems are right there inside of your brain stem. And when you can shift intentionally the rhythm of your breath, everything else follows. Because as far as your body is concerned, oh, okay, something's happening. There's a signal coming from the pre-Botzinger complex. The rhythm has changed to short and choppy. He must be running from a tiger. Let's make sure we kick blood and all the hormones out to the feet and hands so he can run and survive, right?
Well, in the Appalachian Trail, it would probably be a bear, but okay.
Yeah, right. Or maybe a mountain lion or something like that, right? Yes. Yeah. So when you can, on the other side of that, right, flip that to a long and slow breath, what happens? We know that what happens when you sit down and actually allow yourself to take a longer inhale, longer exhale, and settle in. What happens? The body starts to settle, right? Everything else moves into a parasympathetic or more relaxed way of being. So when you look at the regular, just the basic foundations of breath physiology itself, you can yoke some very advanced strategies like, we covered with that minute. Just, it's called cyclic hyperventilation. No breaks in between. You're literally hyperventilating on purpose, but that's because it's a strategic stimulation. It literally sends the signals to your brain. Hey, I need all of the growth hormones. I need all of the things that are going to help keep him alive right now. I need that right now. Stat, give it to me. There's obviously something going on strategically. And as far as the body's concerned, it's objective. It doesn't know that you're doing a breathwork session right now. It just knows, okay, it's time to pay attention. He's obviously activating the amygdala. He's doing all of these different things. And then when you include those breath holds, that again is another signal to the body. It's called acute intermittent hypoxia, very low hypo oxygen. So you're doing that on purpose because when you create a hypoxic environment in the body, naturally, what elevates when oxygen is not elevating? Carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide is not a waste gas. And this is one of the things that all the biology books and everything have to be changed now because we still talk about it as a waste gas when in fact it's a signaling molecule. It's also the one molecule in your body that has the key to open up hemoglobin and release oxygen into your muscles and into your cells. So you're literally, by yoking the breath the way that we do in the Welcome Home method, you are activating over 1,500 chemicals, compounds, and that's on the low side, by the way. I know that sounds like a big number. That's a very low estimate that you're activating over 1,500 different hormones, neurotransmitters, neuromodulators, healing neurotransmitters and modulators like DMT and all these other chemicals that literally heal the body, create new cells. And you can activate it with your breath.
and you are living proof of all of this because in our first conversation, in the previous conversation, you were paralyzed from neck down. And you're telling me, in no uncertain terms here, that breath work was the major catalyst for your change.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you are telling literally the world right now, and of course your clients, that if you learn to breathe right, you can literally change your life. Not just physically, of course, and the physical is one of the things that we kind of tap into first because you want to feel good, you want to look good, you want to be healthy, and all those things. but this was really a life-changing transformation for you. But I want to know in what ways. And so you talked about, I got to find something new. I've got to redesign my life, which I had to do. You now call or you call all of us the willful warrior, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. So you went through a life-changing transformation. Can we talk about that just a little bit? Because now that we understand the breath work, there's so much more to you that we really need to find out.
Yeah, no, I love it. I
Let's
love it.
talk
And the
about it.
book,
Let's talk about you and why this
everybody's
is
favorite,
important. Because
everybody's favorite subject themselves.
every is you, absolutely. But be, again, you were not too many people in life, unless they incurred something serious, an accident or whatever, are paralyzed, and that's a grief moment because you literally lost everything that was before, and you've got to change into something new, and you literally did that. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's funny too that you mentioned the difference between the physical side and the psychological, right? We're always super hyper focused on the body, want to feel good, want to heal this, want to do that. So when I put myself back together and limped away from that, I hadn't yet found the psychological component, right? To your point, I had been using it as a let's fix this thing, let's feel better, let's do all these other things. And there was the messy middle and all these other things that I had to go through. But then it fell on me like, oh my God, the more I do this, it's changing my psychology. The more I do this, the things that used to scare the crap out of me, or the moments from all of the combat operations that we were in, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night smelling things going on and actually thinking that I'm there again. Like, all of these different components started to really fall on me, and I recognized you're literally shifting the landscape of mind, body, and soul. So yeah, you're shifting the body, you're making it feel good by creating these things. And then the construct, the mind that runs pretty much everything, you're making shifts and changes inside of that as well. So it's just an overall change mechanism and lever. And there's so much to it. Like, it's not just about breath work creating these good feelings and making changes. You're literally rewiring your nervous system. You are literally changing connections, wiping away, or what we call synaptic pruning, taking away these stressed out connections that form during these traumatic moments, and you're creating new neural pathways. So all of those things are happening at the same time when you make this a practice, right? Because of course, what we practice doesn't make permanent or perfect. What we practice makes permanent. That's what we say in neuroscience. It becomes a new way of being the more you practice it. The body just naturally does it.
I totally love that, and how you phrase that. And the reason this is important for me particularly, and for the Charter Transformation Foundation, which is the other side of this conversation, other side of this TV show, is designed because I'm diagnosed with PTSD, psychosis, depression, suicide ideation, and you're telling me that there's hope beyond these diagnoses. Is that what you're telling me? Because
Yes.
I need to hear that. And people in my situation, combat veterans regardless, who are diagnosed with this and deal with the trauma, the nightmares, the waking up sweating, all of those things. I'm not going to go through the list, but you're literally telling people in my situation there's hope, and
Yeah.
there's a way to get on the other side of whatever that looks like. Talk to me about, and talk to us,
Yeah.
because now I'm about to cry
I love
because
it.
you're telling me there's hope.
Yeah.
And so I want you to give that message of hope to those who are watching this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we talked about this off camera before. One of the things that I make sure I connect with our brothers and sisters is you're not broken. I promise you, you're not. You may feel like you are. You may feel like you are. I know I certainly did and do sometimes, because I'm still moving through this human experience like everybody else. So it's not like, ooh, I figured it out, and you just put that hat on. But you're not broken. You're not stuck with what you got right now. I'm living proof of it, and there are now hundreds to thousands of testimonials of people that I've worked with, including our brothers and sisters. And one of the best testimonials that I have is from one of our Army brothers who was in Fallujah and pretty much all of the bad parts of the invasion in Iraq, and was also in Afghanistan. Same thing. He could not close his eyes, because every time he did, boom, you're back in that space again, which of course did what? It led him to numb. So he just became a raging alcoholic, like most all of us do. And how can I numb this? How can I numb this? And literally, after 60 days of just giving himself time to practice, and it doesn't take, like, it's not like a switch goes off. So I don't want you hearing this and thinking, oh crap, I got to do 60 days of work to experience like the benefit. No, you're going to start to experience little pieces of it right away. Peace where there was none before, or even a moment of a silent mind, like, holy crap, that's possible. Oh my God. Okay. I can actually sit in my head without 50 million conversations going on. These things are possible. And with Caleb, who is our brother from the Army, he is one of our top testimonials. Like, immediately within 2 months, he just quit drinking. He quit numbing. He quit doing all of these things. And now remarried, happy back. He's a contractor, so he builds people's homes and stuff. Within less than 3 months, he had completely flipped his experience of life around. Does not deal with, of course, it's not perfect. Of course, there are still times I can think of the things that happened to me, but I've removed the emotional charge. And that's the key with what we do in the Welcome Home method. It doesn't wipe these things away. It just removes the emotional charge. It allows you to make a change. It allows you to experience something different.
And that's the message of hope that I want to make sure people hear, is that, ooh, there's something better, there's something different. I could be, I could feel better about myself. I could think
Absolutely.
better about myself. I can do things. I could find new identity, new meaning, new purpose. And I know those are cliche terms that we typically use in therapy, but fundamentally, that's a real thing, because when we lose our identity as a service member, as a combat, Marine, Army, Air Force, doesn't matter. Navy, can't forget them. When we step away from that and we're back in the civilian world, and you said we feel broken, that kind of shuts us down. But you're telling us that we're not broken. How do we know that we're not broken? How do you know you're not broken?
Yeah, funny enough, it was the experience of laying in the bed and everything that I had gone through that made me realize I'm not broken. Holy crap. Well, or even if I don't like to take people's suffering away, I don't like to take people's, the ideals and the way that you think. So even if you feel like you're broken, what can you do with something that's broken? You can fix it. And that's what's beautiful, is you're not stuck with what you got. There are things that you can do. You can shift, you can change, you can make just small changes with some of the things that we do in the Welcome Home method, and experience a completely different side of life. I mean, to your point too, Caleb, when he came to me, was experiencing the same thing I did. And a lot of what you talked about and what we've talked about is that big hole of purpose, right? When you're in the military, you've got brothers to your left, to your right, to your six, like, you're covered. Like, dude, I can never fail at life with these people by my side and surrounding me. Not to mention, you have purpose of mission and all these things that you're going out, the directives that you're told to do. So you have this big hole once you get out that's set inside of you. So what are we doing besides numbing? We're also searching for that combat jack again. Like, how can I find that combat jack? And also, the camaraderie that we all miss out on when we get out of the military. And there's ways to do it. And the beautiful part is not only can you shift things with your breath, but you can find a community of like-minded warriors like us, which is why I call it the Willful Warrior. I'm not the Willful Warrior. You are, and you are, and you are.
You call your method the welcome home method.
Yeah.
What does that mean, and where did you find that those words?
Yeah. So when I think about the moment that I died and I was out of my body and there were no thoughts, it literally felt like I had come home, right? It was the most peaceful experience I had ever had in my life. It's like working for 12 hours. You come home, sit on the couch and take your boots off. Like, ah, that's what it felt like. It was like I had come home again to myself. And when the PT did that breath work with me, laying in my bed, paralyzed and with no function whatsoever, and as far as I was concerned, like, oh, I'm screwed, I'm stuck like this. That moment that he fed me into that breath work and I held my breath, boom, I was back in that place again. So that was where the welcome home method comes from, because when you move through, and on YouTube, there's the minute and the 5 minute expression that's on there, even just that 5 minute practice, I promise you, go play that 5 minute practice for yourself. Be seated, by the way. Don't be standing up and walking and all these. Be seated, because you're going to blast the rocket ship off. But when you hold your breath, just pay attention to yourself and you'll feel it for yourself as well. It feels like, oh my God, welcome home. I'm back. Here I am.
I love it. And so, as we kind of wrap up this conversation with the last few minutes, talk to us about what you're doing now and how you help people make these transitions through breath. And I've got to ask you, are you officially a yogi now? Like, did you?
Oh, yeah, that was actually, I started that path. I'm a 500-hour yoga instructor, a Qigong instructor, yeah, breath work. I started the Eastern path, and then I decided to go the formal Western education side.
So you're a yogi, you're about to get your master's degree, you're going to go for your PhD. You're just a man of everything. I totally appreciate that. So, again, what is this welcome home method? Talk to us about what somebody would expect and experience as your client.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, and that's a perfect bridge, because literally what I'm doing is it's science meets soul. It's not this, the Eastern ways work better, the Western ways work better. No, together, oh my dear Lord, it is just a coming together of champions. When you mix what they've already been talking about for 10,000 years with what we're now catching up on the scientific side of things. So when you move into the welcome home method, if you are a veteran yourself out there it is. Back up off me, bro. If you are a veteran yourself out there, you're not going to have to worry about, oh, dear Lord, here he goes talking about opening my heart chakra again. I have that side of myself. But I can't imagine walking. Could you imagine me walking into a room of Marines like, don't worry, we're going to open your heart chakras today? Like, oh, I'd immediately get laughed out of the room or probably beat up as I'm exiting the room. So there's a lot of just connecting dots for you is the first stage that we start off, and allowing you to recognize everything that's controlled by your breath, everything that's controlled by your nervous system, and how you yourself, as the willful warrior, can move through and reprogram that. And it doesn't take long. Honestly, within the first 7 days, you feel a substantial shift inside of the hormonal structure of your body and the way that you're experiencing life, psychologically and physiologically. And we have the greatest part of this is I work virtually. So we're already in 50 something countries right now, with tens of thousands of people practicing it, and it opens up. So you don't have to come to a brick and mortar. We can schedule a session right here and I can walk you through these practices. I also have recorded practices and some of healing breathwork fundamentals. And when I told you about, like, I go full nerd on that one. Like, I give you 3D visuals of the spinal nerves, and like I'm literally walking you through the changes that are happening in your body.
Cool. I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much. We're coming to the end of another conversation, Leland, the Willful Warrior, and me, the Willful Warrior. I love it. For all of you out there, I'll see you on the trail. Take care. Imagine a world where every veteran finds a reason to keep going. That's the vision behind the Trail to Transformation Foundation. Help us make it real. Donate through the GoFundMe link. And as always, I'll see you